Hi guys, Bran here and welcome to another video. Today I want to teach you something that's going to help you out there in the survivor land, because apparently that's a rough place to be right now. One of the biggest issues that I've seen while out there playing survivor is there's kind of an extreme lack of coordination when it comes to who's going for the save. Now, I'm not going to tell you to sit here and slap on Kindred or to get on comms. There's actually a much easier way to determine who goes for the save in terms of DBD. There's an actual order of operations on who goes for the save, so you don't end up in these awkward situations where somebody gets on hook, you think the other person's going for the save, but then they end up in chase, so you think the third person's going for the save, but they think you're going for a save, and you're just both on a gen, and then that person on hook ends up going to second. To prevent situations like that, we have to use an order of operations, and we should spread this as much as possible so we can get everybody on the same page without needing Kindred, comms, or anything to do this. Without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about it. So what is the order of operations for a save? So it's a 3-tier system, and the tiers go by highest priority. Tier 1, healthy survivors. Tier 2, number of hooks on that survivor. And Tier 3, injured survivors. Tier 1 is obviously the healthy survivor. The healthy survivor is going to be able to go for the save most efficiently and safely compared to any other member on the team. The reason that you want to send the healthy survivor over anybody else on the team is because killers like to either outright base camp or proxy camp to try and confirm pressure on the team. So what you do is you send the healthy survivor. That way, even if the killer is camping or proxy camping, they can take a hit while getting the save. Even if they end up only trading, so they just go down at the hook while unhooking the other person getting off hook allows them to go back into the match, go heal, go get on a gen, reset, and rejoin the match. I feel like a lot of players are super scared to have that trade because that adds hooks, which therefore in their brain means that, oh, we're losing the match now. But having somebody in the match versus not is one of the biggest things that affects the match. I'm sure a lot of you guys had a lot of people DCing or giving up on hook, and how much that kind of eventually leads to an L, leads to the match being lost because that person was out of the game early or had a killer hard tunnel someone out of the game at like 4 gens. How much that affects the game early. So having that person there and being in a sticky situation is way better than having that person die. The second tier is number of hooks on survivor. So if you're in a situation where everybody's healthy, it kind of gets a little wish-washy. Who goes for the save here? That's when you want to turn to number of hooks on the survivor. But for the most part, when you're watching competitive DBD, that's not a whole lot you can take from competitive DBD and apply that to pub DBD, which is a completely different experience. A lot of the things that you do there, both killer and survivor, don't really transfer over. But one of the things that's really huge and really important about competitive DBD and the way they see things is the hook states. Hook states are seen as resources in competitive play, meaning that getting a hook necessarily isn't the worst thing in the world, and that's more of like a resource that you can spend to prolong the game for the things that we talked about earlier, like resetting, getting gens done, etc. You gotta look, if you're in a situation where everybody's healthy or it's ambiguous who goes for the save in that scenario, and you can't just go, oh, well, the healthy guy should go get it. You should look at the number of hooks. If I am on death hook, let's say I'm playing Jeff in a game of Survivor and I'm on death hook, but there's a Zarina in the match that's also healthy, but she has no hooks. If I go to get that save and I'm on death hook and I get found by the killer on the way or while unhooking, I get put on the hook and then I die. I am out of the game. I cannot contribute anymore. And that makes it a 3v1, which is very rough for my team to come back from. However, if the Zarina went and got the save and she gets hooked, she can sit there for a while. She can sit there for 60 seconds and just chill. She can just hang out. Literally. Having her take the hook there is good and a good use of her quote-unquote resources of her hook state, because the alternative would be me literally being dead and out of the game, or conversely somebody going to their second hook, meaning that saving them is a little bit more dire. So the next tier is looking at the person with the least amount of hooks and hook states to go and get that person. Now the final tier is the least amount. You should try to avoid sending this person to go get the save as much as possible, and that's an injured person. Obviously, like we talked about at the beginning of this, killers like to obviously camp and proxy camp, and that creates kind of a very sketchy situation. Kind of creates a sketchy situation for you going in for the save. If you're injured and you get caught out, you just go down and it's a double down situation, and then there's 2 people on hooks, which is That requires the whole team to undo, so no gens are being done anymore either. Like it's a incredibly messy situation, so you want to avoid that as much as possible. So send an injured person. Avoid sending an injured person almost basically at all costs. What I'll see a lot of people do, because you may be thinking, well, no doubt, don't send an injured person to go get the save, but this happens actually a lot. And the rationale behind it is that the injured person was just closer to the hook save. And I'll tell you what, like I just said, the double hook situation is much worse. Much worse than anything that could come out of that situation. Like a double hook situation, you want to avoid that, especially in this era of Survivor where like mistakes are punished so much more heavily. Like you do not want to have a double hook situation if you could definitely avoid it. You healthy, globetrot across the entire map and go get that person. You don't want to put that injured survivor in a double down state for the whole team. You don't want to do that. Globetrot across. Don't just sit on that gen and go, well, they were closer, so they'll get it. No, you go get that. You go get that. And remember, this is a thing that I want to talk about very briefly, is this is an order of operations. This is a tier system. So you're not going to be able to always be in a simple, easy to figure out position with this. There's going to be a lot of like, oh, well, now we're all injured. Who do we send? And that's why there's tiers, because you go up the tier. Like, oh, we're all injured. Who goes? Look at the number of hooks. Who is the death hook injured guy? Who's the non-death hook injured guy? So that's kind of the idea here, is that it's different levels of intensity. And obviously the toppest tier is injured. The middle tier is number of hooks on that survivor. And the last tier that you want to avoid as much as possible is injured. So it's an intensity situation. You know, it's not black and white. So you're going to enter some gray situations, but try to look at the next section up. Yeah, hopefully you guys can spread this and use this, because I feel like this is very helpful, and hopefully will become common knowledge at a certain point, because this will help you forego needing to bring stuff like Kindred or needing to have comms in order to get to those safe and effective saves. And if most people know this and people get this under their belt, then solo queue as a whole experience does get better. So try to spread this, just even if you don't spread the video itself, just spread the idea of the priority system as much as you can, the order of operations for saves. Spread that info as much as you can, and I guarantee that your solo queue situations will get better. But on that, that's it for today's video, friends. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me today, but I do upload daily, so hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Other than that, I'll see you when I see you. Goodbye.